tensions in the Gulf have eased, for now. A fragile 2-week ceasefire between the United States and Iran has brought a temporary halt to more than a month of escalating conflict, offering a brief moment of relief across the region. But beneath that calm, uncertainty continues to loom, especially over one of the world's most critical energy choke points, the Strait of Hormuz. Just hours before the truce was announced, rhetoric between Washington and Tehran had reached dangerous levels. U.S. President Donald Trump had issued stark warnings, while Iranian officials signaled the possibility of expanding attacks across the Gulf. Then, with only 90 minutes remaining before a U.S.-imposed deadline, a breakthrough. President Trump confirmed that both sides had agreed to pause hostilities for 2 weeks, on the condition that maritime traffic through the Strait of Hormuz resumes. This narrow waterway is vital to the global economy. Roughly 20% of the world's oil and liquefied natural gas passes through it. In recent weeks, however, traffic had slowed to a near standstill after Iran responded to joint U.S.-Israeli strikes by tightening its grip on the route. Now, while ships are expected to resume transit, the terms of that passage remain uncertain. Iranian officials say movement through the strait during the ceasefire period will take place only in coordination with their military. Meanwhile, Tehran has also presented a 10-point proposal as a basis for negotiations, one that reportedly includes maintaining some level of control over the waterway. Talks are expected to begin in Islamabad in the coming days. But across the Gulf, leaders are watching closely, and with growing concern. Experts warn that Gulf states fear the United States, eager for a quick diplomatic win, could agree to terms that give Iran long-term leverage over the Strait of Hormuz. Such a scenario, analysts say, would be deeply troubling for the region's energy-dependent economies. For countries like Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Kuwait, the idea of Iran holding strategic influence over the strait raises the risk of future disruptions, and even economic pressure. In recent days, the 6 nations of the Gulf Cooperation Council have issued coordinated statements welcoming the ceasefire, while also emphasizing that any long-term deal must guarantee unrestricted access through the strait. Anything less, they warn, could leave the region in a state of constant vulnerability. Concerns have also intensified following remarks by President Trump suggesting the possibility of a joint U.S.-Iran initiative to manage the strait, potentially including toll systems for passing vessels. While the White House later clarified that reopening the waterway without restrictions remains the immediate priority, the idea has added to regional unease. At the same time, questions remain about Iran's military capabilities. Despite U.S. claims that much of Iran's strike capacity has been destroyed, recent attacks tell a different story. Even after the ceasefire announcement, Iranian missiles and drones were reportedly launched toward targets in the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia. So far, Gulf nations have largely stayed out of the conflict, maintaining a defensive posture. But their tone is shifting. Countries like Bahrain and the UAE have begun issuing stronger warnings, signaling that their patience may be running out. At the United Nations, Gulf states pushed for international authorization to protect maritime traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. That effort, however, was blocked after Russia and China vetoed the proposal. For Gulf leaders, the message is clear: the strait must not become a geopolitical bargaining chip. The stakes are high. A prolonged disruption could have far-reaching consequences, not only for global energy markets, but also for the Gulf's long-term ambitions as a hub for finance, tourism, and international investment. As diplomatic efforts continue, one major sticking point remains unresolved: Iran's nuclear program. While Tehran has expressed willingness to discuss limitations, it continues to reject calls for a full dismantling, one of Washington's key demands. With negotiations set to begin, the coming days will be critical. For now, the guns may be silent, but the future of the Gulf, and the stability of one of the world's most vital trade routes, remains uncertain.